Hello, welcome to my show. This is White Chocolate Drizzle. Thank you for tuning in, and I am here live from the internet with the one and only Chilly Gonzales. Voila.
Hello. Whoa, sorry. Very heavy curtain. Just hang on.
Come on out of there. Come on.
Sorry, it's.
We're good?
We're good.
Cool. How you doing today?
Fantastic, thank you. I'm here in Toronto.
Lovely. Well, I'm in Brooklyn, so it's not too far away, but just far enough away. So, in case people don't know of you, you are multifaceted, multi-talented. You go by a variety of names. A lot of people know you as Gonzales, just Gonzales. Chilly Gonzales is sort of your Jewish supervillain MC moniker, correct?
Well, it's also, it was, when I came into the music game, it was as Chilly Gonzales, kind of encompassing everything. And when I made my solo piano album, I took away the chili because I thought it would somehow take away from the purity. And in retrospect, that was a mistake because it created some confusion. Are we the same person? And then even worse, I realized that Chilly Gonzales is so much easier to Google than just Gonzales. If you put in Gonzales, you get all kinds of stuff. Chilly Gonzales, you get me. And so that was also just more of a marketing error than anything that I made back in 2004. And when I kind of took control back of Gonzales Enterprises and started my own label and embarked on what I've been doing now for the last 3 or 4 years, basically since my Guinness World Record and since the Ivory Tower album, it's been Chilly Gonzales again because that's just a more memorable moniker. And so Solo Piano 2, which is coming in September, will be Chilly Gonzales and not making the same mistake.
I think you're being way too hard on yourself, by the way. I mean, like, nobody gets it right. You're multidimensional.
No, I'm trying to get it right. I'm trying to entertain people, and it's not about pleasing myself. You know, I'm a disciplined person because I'm trying to be a man of my time, even though my skill set is very old-fashioned. You know, and the way I do that is, of course, by making Chilly Gonzales, an exaggerated version of myself that's hopefully going to add to the entertainment value, and at the same time makes me stand out from the rest of the sort of musical landscape of today, which tends to be on some fake authentic shit. I'm on some authentic fake shit. It's a big difference.
I mean, what kind of super villainry do you do, precisely?
Well, I guess the reason I'm attracted to the supervillain angle has to do with a reaction against the kind of heroic version of the artist, which I think is bullshit. And I think people who get up on stage are mostly doing it for negative reasons, very similar to the megalomania of supervillains. Very smart, talented people who for some reason have a score to settle and something to prove and needs to kind of impose their will on a large group of people. So that to me sounds like entertainers of today. They are the supervillains, but they've kind of pulled off a magic trick by making them seem like they're kind of humble and accidentally famous and all that.
Yeah. But
the truth is most of them have a similar profile to me, which is to say psychologically in need of some kind of mass validation. When people say they love the audience, they're not lying. It's just what they're not saying is they need the audience's love, and they just won't rest. And that's why I'm a lifelong entertainer, and that's why Robbie Williams is a lifelong entertainer, and the list goes on,
Yeah.
And the people who aren't entertainers, in a way, I feel like they don't really belong up there in that case, They should probably find an egoless version of what they're doing in the music industry, So I think, I'm not saying it's great or anything, but the people who get up on stage are psychologically damaged and are pretending otherwise. And I think we would move the ball forward if everyone could indulge that a bit more. I'm inspired by the beauty of music, the fun of music, but also very inspired by the fact that it's a popularity contest, inspired by the tragedy that music is not a meritocracy. And it makes me work harder on the parts that aren't just simply musical merit. And it means I have to be strategic. And maybe there's something sad about that in this day and age, a musician such as I has to be very, very strategic and very disciplined. And as you said, hard on myself, just so I can have the little foothold I have. Because honestly, my profile is not to be an artist or to be someone up on stage. My real profile is to be a professor of music or a frustrated session musician, because I grew up with a mathematical approach to music.
Mm-hmm.
That doesn't really cut it. People who are musicians today are supposed to be instinctive. I'm not an instinctive musician. I'm a musical genius. I looked at it from the math first, and only started to realize that I wanted to be a man of my time much later, you know, like in my 20s. And I was like, okay, what is today? Today is electronic music, it's rap music. That's why I'm trying to sort of put my spin on all of those things and finding, you know, finding that people are really receptive to it. They're happy to hear how the old skills that I have can actually be relevant, playing with Drake or breaking a world record or producing Feist or whatever it is.
I know I said you're being too hard on yourself, and I understand where you're coming from, but shit, all those things you just said, like, make me want to vote for you, or I just wish there were more people that had this sort of mindset. Can you, like, run for the president of rap?
That's why I'm putting it out there, and maybe I exaggerate it, sure, and I come off, you know, in certain shows, it's true that they'll be like, that guy's a fucking asshole, but better that than just being the guy who sits there while the people talk in the back and I don't say anything about it. You know, I do believe that not only do I deserve that chance, and I won't say deserve that respect, but I deserve the chance to do what I do best. And the way to do that is for people to give me a little bit of concentration, a bit of benefit of the doubt. And it's up to me to find a way to convince them to give me that chance for a short time. And usually if they do give me that chance, then they're happy for it. They're happy that they went on the journey that went from concentrating and seeing the old skills on display in a more pure way, and then I take it into the rap songs, the music lessons, bring people up on stage, and all of a sudden they're like, wow, I'm really glad that he bullied me into those 10 minutes where I concentrated. And I don't mind in the short term taking the hit and them thinking I'm an asshole if it means that in the end they're giving me the standing O because I took them over the top, you know. You
are surrounded by a lot of really great people, and you've built friendships with them, and you kind of came up together, being, of course, Feist, Peaches, Mocky, Tiga. Do I sense like a supergroup maybe on the horizon? Can we hope for that at least?
Yeah, well, it's been bandied about more than you'd think, but at the same time, in the end, the reason we've stuck together and the reason we're kind of on the board of directors of each other's companies is because we're not a band. And there really is a limit. In the end, I think if Peaches comes up on stage with me in a Gonzales concert, you know, she's Peaches 250 nights a year with everyone clamoring for her. So in that moment, she doesn't feel any need to steal the show or not, unless I ask her to. And so in that moment, she's truly egoless, you know? And in that moment, she can really come into the Gonzo world and vice versa, you know? Nothing more I love than to go and focus on just playing piano and doing a duet with Feist. I don't need to wear my bathrobe. I don't need to make jokes. I'm happy to go just be in Feist's world, which is a more rarefied musical world anyway. So the supergroup I doubt will happen, only because the minute we did that, by definition, we would suddenly be in the zone we've never wanted to be in. We all need to feel in control of our own solo projects. I think that's pretty clear. You know, Tiga runs a tight ship of his own. Peaches runs everyone runs a really, really tight ship. Yeah. And the only way it works is when we bring in people and we know whose world we're in. The few times we've really tried to be, in a way, truly equal, believe it or not, that's when we saw This Is Dangerous, actually. You know how rarely we actually write songs together? Very rarely, actually. Yeah. If you go look at writing credits, you'd be surprised how little there is of actually us sitting in a room together and saying, let's write a song, you know? It's more like, I have this song, what, maybe you can help me do this thing on it, or can you come in and do my show with me and be a special guest? I want you to sing this cover song. And it's always incredibly easy. And we have 15 years of history, most of us now. Mm-hmm. And it's just onward and upward, you know? We just had a huge, amazing, tearful reunion at my 40th birthday. So it was very emotional, and
wow.
And you know, the friendships were there first, and the music has followed from there naturally.
That's amazing. Congratulations, by the way.
Thanks.
Just really quick, what does a Grammy nomination taste like? Just throw something out there.
Can I be honest with you?
Mm-hmm.
If it's not for my own project, not a hell of a lot, honestly.
I can see that.
And that's because, why is that nomination happening? Who really did that work? It's Feist. That's all I'm saying. It's just,
yeah.
When it's for me and work that I really did and something I conceived, and then it's going to feel amazing. All prizes feel amazing when they're for something that you just did. You know, whether it's an iPad commercial, that was like winning a prize, because that was a song that existed. I didn't have to write a commercial and send them demos. They just wanted that piece of music, and it worked great. And you know, so those moments are just win-win. You know, because you would have done it anyway, and then if an accolade comes, then of course it just feels great.
Cool.
But in the case of Feist, it's not because of me. I'm pretty sure Feist would have gotten to a Grammy nomination or something similar eventually anyway. Maybe not in the exact same route, or who knows how it would have happened, but she's obviously you know, she obviously has that quality, and so that's why I feel like, of course, I'm there to channel it, and maybe once in a while add an exponential X factor that takes it over the top. But in the end, that's her Grammy nomination, and it's fantastic for her. But I don't wake up in the morning, and when I see that email, it's kind of not a big deal compared to like an email from Thomas from Daft Punk asking me to play piano on his next album, on the next Daft Punk album. That's a day where I'm going to celebrate and throw myself a ticker tape parade.
Hell yeah, I would do a couple shots over that.
Here you go.
All right, so let's talk about your new album, relatively new album, The Unspeakable Chilly Gonzales. Who's over there?
No, someone is miming your voice. You know,
okay.
Someone is.
Show yourself. Show yourself.
No, I don't think.
No. Let's make it happen. Let's go. I want to see what I look like being mimed.
He's a 4-year-old boy. You don't want to see him.
I don't want to see him. Is he gonna?
No,
is he gonna like ugly up this interview?
He's a deformed 4-year-old boy.
Oh, is he? He's a child.
He's deformed and 4.
Okay.
He's deformed. F-O-U-R. This interview's taking a nasty turn, isn't it?
This got really weird.
Yeah,
I'm gonna take this moment to do a little product placement. You're welcome. Unspeakable Chilly Gonzales. A friend of mine named Chandler from a band called Brown Shoe put me on to your music, and I feel a little bit weird knowing about you and going backwards from your discography, because I started with your most recent album and I freaked out, and then I went backwards in time throughout your whole musical career, and I kind of fell in love with everything. And it's so rare that happens to me.
It's funny because I kept on saying to myself, you know, we kind of put out The Unspeakable as a pretty soft release, you know, scant 6 months after Ivory Tower, which was a much bigger deal. And it was because I felt like I didn't want it to have too much expectation attached to it, and I thought of it more as something for people who already know me. And I always thought, well, this isn't something I want to come out of the gate like, yeah, this is my rap album, motherfuckers. Like, and so I was always saying to myself, if somebody heard this and didn't know my music at all, I would be surprised if they had a way in. But you seem to be putting the lie to that. So,
well, one of the reasons why Chandler put me on to your music was because of the piano, and he's a keyboardist pianist, and I really enjoy that part too, because you can only listen to like a boom bap beat with like a jazz sample and something off an MPC every so often. You know, I want something different and something a little bit more organic, and I think you really bring that to the table, especially on this album. What was the most fulfilling part of making this album? Since it is, you know, you've done so much. This one in particular.
Lyrically, obviously, it's great to be able to get things off my chest that, you know, I hadn't had any new rap songs in about 5-6 years. I love to rap at the piano on stage, and I just felt like I needed to sort of update the manifesto, if you will, you know, and the rap songs, I was interested in other things, and a lot had happened, and I felt like I had to comment on it, and so it just felt right. I wrote the lyrics in a space of a few weeks. It was only those songs. I had nothing else to say once I'd done those. It wasn't like I had 18 songs and chose the best 10 or something. It was like, that's it, you know? And then I thought, okay, what's the best way to get this across? First thought was just piano and rap, because I do that so often live. But the more I did that, the more I started to hear the orchestral colors. But what was sure is I wanted to have no electronic beats, so that it could stand out and no one would take it seriously as if I'm saying, I'm a rapper as you know it, you know? I'm a musical genius who raps. That's what I'm trying to say.
This is, of course, in juxtaposition to the Ivory Tower album that goes along with your movie, The Ivory Tower. Y'all were fabulous in it. Every single person involved was just fabulous.
Especially Tegan.
He kind of stole the show a little bit.
Yeah.
When is that coming out, though? Because I'm hearing a bunch of different dates, and I saw on iTunes the most recent one is the
next few weeks. It all depends country by country. You know, we produced the movie ourselves. We're distributing ourselves. It's extremely difficult. It's much more complicated than making and distributing your own record to do a movie, as I realized. And so people have to put up with a certain completely amateurish quality to our releasing of this, because we have just no help. And it's you know, we've got the music thing under our belt now after 3 albums as an independent label. That's all good. But it's true that it's coming out on iTunes, and we were waiting for some bonus tracks that weren't or didn't materialize. I mean, I don't even know. There's probably a stack of emails right now about it. But next few weeks, if everybody's patient, it will get on iTunes, and people will be able to like finally stream it on their computer and not be in this half-assed, you know, oh, we're showing it, but I have to play a concert, and if you miss it, well, it's never going to play again. You know, it's really difficult. So
Yeah. Well, if it's any consolation to you, you know, I hate doing this, and I really was had the intentions of buying it. But then, since I couldn't find it anywhere, I was like, let's see what BitTorrent has, and no one fucking has it on there. Okay.
Yeah, exactly. No, that's.
So,
I can take
good.
a strange, unflattering comfort that no one thought it was worth ripping yet.
Okay.
Yeah.
One final question for you. You talk about Skyping with Feist in your song "Party in My Mind." How do I match up against her Skype-wise in terms of like my background design and my lighting, makeup?
Well, her background design, as is mine, is generally variable because it's usually hotels in which we're Skyping because of the you know, the touring and the traveling, and so there's also a more meandering quality to our Skyping. It's more like it's left on for a couple of hours, and there's emailing, and there's like more or less doing what we would normally do anyway. Maybe eating some takeout food, waiting for some room service, maybe doing some spontaneous hotel reviews, you know. And what we did is a little bit more constrained in time, but you know, with time, if we got to know each other better, we would, you know, maybe eventually we wouldn't have to talk all the time, you know, and we would be able to just be, you know. As a first thing, I think, you know, I think we broke through the ether and you know, produced hopefully an entertaining, informative interview for the fans.
Righteous. Wonderful. Thank you so much for sitting down with me, Chilly Gonzales.
My pleasure. You're
wonderful. You've been watching White Chocolate Drizzle. I'm your host, White Chocolate Drizzle. Au revoir.